Second half of the hour with our second guest, Rhonda Stapley, author of the recent book, I Survived Ted Bundy, The Attack, Escape, and PTSD That Changed My Life. Now, Rhonda, more than a pleasure to have you with us this afternoon. Rhonda was a pharmacy student at University of Utah back in 1974. She was raped, nearly killed by someone most of you, I don't think there's anybody alive that doesn't know this man's name, the notorious serial killer, Ted Bundy. After barely escaping with her life, she told absolutely no one about the attack, and she told no one for nearly 40 years. And now she shares her story in a new book, and the reason is she wants to help other survivors cope with whatever dark secrets they've been carrying. Rhonda, thank you for joining us. Is it Stapley or Stapley, so I say it properly?
It's Stapley.
Stapley, Rhonda Stapley, author of the book I Survived Ted Bundy, The Attack, Escape, and PTSD That Changed My Life. Rhonda, first of all, I am so glad that however long it took you that you're speaking out, because I think it can help others, but maybe even help you, be a bit cathartic. Second, I just want to say I'm so glad that you're not one of his many victims that died. And I think it's awful that you or anyone is a victim, but that you were able to survive. As you know, most of his victims did not. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for writing the book. And we are grateful that you are with us to be able to talk about this.
Well, thank you for saying all those nice things.
Now, first of all, you feel that Ted Bundy had every intention of you dying, right? Let's talk about your story, right? First of all, some people might say, why did it take you so long? We'll get to that, and we'll talk about all of that, okay? You are now coming forward, and you're coming forward for the first time about your attack. Take us back to 1974, where you were a pharmacology student at the University of Utah, and tell us what happened October 11th of that year of 1974.
I was at a downtown local city park, and I was waiting for a bus to take me back up to the campus. I lived in an apartment on campus. While I was waiting for the bus, which was late and never showing up, a tan Volkswagen drove by slowly, and then it stopped and backed up, and the queue driver leaned over and rolled down the window and asked me if I'd like a ride. I got in. This was 1974 in Salt Lake City, and it did not seem scary or dangerous in any way. Instead of taking me to campus, he ended up driving me up a canyon where I was assaulted, managed to escape, and walked home probably close to 14, 15 miles, and decided never to tell a soul what had happened to me.
Okay, let's break that down a bit. You know, I think back to all the times things could have happened where I made poor judgment in college age and even before. I grew up in a small town outside of Boston, very safe, like, you know, you said at your university. One of the things about Ted Bundy was that he was a handsome man, and one thing about serial killers is they often have a very, a likable and trustworthy way about them. When we think about others, Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, those are just two examples. Tell us about him that made you even more comfortable to accept that ride and to get in that car.
He looked exactly like a college student. He didn't look like the Hunchback or Dracula or anybody that would be scary. He just seemed like a fellow college student helping another college student. He was dressed nice, looked like you would expect a law student to look on his way to or from a class.
And you said he was handsome, he was a law student. You believed him when he said he needed to make a quick detour, but then that detour did turn out to be a big Cottonwood Canyon. So furthest thing from your mind was that this person would hurt you, correct?
Correct. Yep, okay. I had no idea.
When he first approached you physically in that car, you probably thought he was just putting the moves on you, like guys can do, correct?
Exactly. I thought he was leaning over to kiss me, and I was trying to fend off a romantic attack.
He told you, correct me if I'm wrong, quote, "Do you know what? I'm going to kill you."
Yep, that's exactly what he said.
Was that at the, so we can, visualize this. He leans in, you think to kiss you, and you start, pushing him off like, I'm not interested, not that type of girl, no, no, no. Were you scared at that point, at that very moment, or no, when he was leaning in and you were trying to fend him off then?
It wasn't fear. It was more of a shy nervousness and thinking, how can I get out of this situation, because I don't really want to make out with this guy. I barely even know him, but I don't want to offend him because he is a cute law student, and I'm looking for somebody like a cute law student, and this could be cool. So I don't really want to offend anybody. But when he leans over, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm not frightened. And then he says, just very quietly, very calmly, do you know what? I'm going to kill you.
So right then, right from when you thought, this guy's trying to kiss me, and you're just, like you said, nervously, girlishly, pushing him away like you're not interested. So that's straight out of the box. Did you believe him, and were you frightened?
For a fraction of a second, I thought maybe he was joking, that he had some strange sense of humor and kind of creepy. But his hands went so quickly to my throat and were squeezing so tightly that I knew it was not a joke.
And he also squeezed so tightly that you went in and out of consciousness, correct?
Yes.
If this is uncomfortable, I know you've written about this, I'm going to be as delicate as I can.
Okay.
You shared that he beat you and he raped you. First of all, did he hit you with his fist? Did he use a weapon? Do you even recall all of that because you were in and out of consciousness?
He beat me with his fists. After the strangulation in the car, he'd moved me out of the car, and at that point when I came to, he started slugging me in the stomach and throwing me around a little bit, and at that point I was frightened. I was begging for my life then, telling him, don't hurt me anymore.
Did he say anything when you begged him for your life?
Not at that point that I remember. I don't remember anything at that point. Later.
And it was at that point when he took you out of the car, had been strangling you and beat you, so now you're emotionally, mentally, and physically beaten down, literally and otherwise. He raped you. He sexually assaulted you.
Yes.
How long would you say this entire ordeal was that you were subjected to this physical violence and abuse at the hands of Ted Bundy?
I don't really know, and my mind wasn't keeping track of time, but now looking back and thinking about how long it takes for the sun to set and things like that, I imagine probably two hours maybe.
Now, you said he had every intention of you dying. When we look at the pattern of Ted Bundy's actions, I would agree, just looking back, and also because of what he said to you, not meaning that he was necessarily being truthful or not, but he was, especially because he went to the back of his car and he was fiddling with something. We'll get to that in a minute, but I commend you because one of the reason you're here today, what went through your mind? I mean, you saw an opportunity to escape, you jumped, and you ran. And I'm sure that you were very disoriented. So tell us how that was. I mean, one of the things, I'll watch ID Channel and these other things, and I think to myself, I don't know that I could run fast enough. So talk to us about that. Are you running and you can't breathe and you just keep running? You have this adrenaline rush because of the fear. Talk to us about, I mean, you're running from a serial killer who's just beaten and raped you, and you don't even know he's a serial killer. You just know that he wants to kill you.
Yes, what happened is I became conscious. I was lying on the ground, and it's totally black by now. It's dark. There's no stars or moon or anything. You can't see a single thing in front of you. But the dome light, the car door is open, so there's a little bit of light coming from the car door that's about 30 feet away from me or so. And I can see the outline of him standing by the door doing something in the back of that car. And I don't think I know I didn't plan anything. I just jumped and ran. It just was instinctive adrenaline rush. but my pants were around my ankles, so I couldn't really run. I ran like 2 steps. I hadn't realized that either until I jumped and started running, that my pants were around my ankles, and so I fell right away. Fortunately, I was right on the edge of a river, and I happened to fall into that river, which is what probably saved my life.
And you did not come across anyone. You fell into the river, and then what? You swam, or the river carried you?
The river carried me a ways, crashed into some boulders and rocks. It was like a swirling mountain stream kind of thing. It wasn't very deep, but it was very, very swift.
And when you reached the end of that river, or, the land, I would imagine you either removed your pants or pulled them up so you wouldn't have to continue on with that hindrance. To you. You did not go to an emergency room. You did not go to a police station. You did not seek any even medical attention because you felt ashamed, correct?
Correct.
I want people to understand, because I'm younger than you. I'm the victim of rape, not by Ted Bundy, and I was not beaten. It was a very different situation. But I know that throughout the years there are different things that women were told. What were you as a woman told, or a young woman told, in 1974 if someone tries to rape you? Were you told to just lie there and give in? Were you told to fight like hell? What were you taught?
Well, we were kind of taught, do whatever you think you need to do. If fighting is going to make it worse, then don't fight.
How long before he saw you run, and did he run after you?
I don't know if he did. I was busy at that time trying to not drown.
And did you ever know what he was fiddling with in the back of that car?
No, I've speculated that when I was lying on the ground, he may have thought that I was already dead and was moving the seat, because he has historically moved the seat in order to carry his victims to a better dumping site or somewhere, or that maybe he was getting the tire iron to make sure I was dead.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about more of Rhonda's struggles, but not with Ted Bundy, as a result of what he did to her, what he did to others, and her silence for so many years. Rhonda Stapley, author of the recent book, I Survived Ted Bundy, The Attack, Escape, and PTSD That Changed My Life. We'll be back with her and with you right after this. Don't go away. We're back with Rhonda Stapley, author of the new recent book, I Survived Ted Bundy, The Attack, Escape, and PTSD That Changed My Life. Thank you for holding, Rhonda. Welcome back. You had said that you, and I'll quote, I thought to myself, no one can ever know I did this stupid thing. I nearly got myself killed, and I promised myself I would never tell a soul what happened. But then weeks after your attack, there were other attacks. Ted Bundy kidnapped and killed 2 Utah women, and you were in denial that it was the same attacker that had attacked you, correct? And can you speak to us as to why you think that is?
Well, no one likes to think that there's a serial killer that has them. I don't even think that term had been coined way back then. I thought that my attacker was just an isolated incident and that he had moved on. It was awful to think that my attacker might be hurting other people, and that might be my fault for not reporting him or turning him in or helping people to capture him, or at least warning people to stay away from cute guys in Volkswagens.
I would imagine, because I would have, and you said, then I had this huge amount of guilt. I thought that if I had come forward, other women might not have been killed.
Mm-hmm. The fact that I didn't tell anybody.
Looking back, because it took you a long time to come forward, if you had it to do over again, would you have come forward quicker do you think that would have made a difference? Would one life perhaps have been saved? Would he have been caught quicker? I mean, these are things I'm sure you have mulled over numerous times.
Yeah, really, in reality, I don't think it would have made any difference. Carol Duranch was kidnapped by him like a month after I escaped, and she managed to escape, and she told police, and that didn't stop him. So there's really no reason to believe that my telling would have made a difference either.
You didn't know who he was or where to find him, but you had this guilt. It must have taken you some time to get over that guilt, correct?
Oh, yes, years and years and years.
You even kept this secret not just from the public, but from your own family, your husband, and then your children that you had later in life, correct?
Correct. I just pretended it never happened and moved on with my life.
Tell us what happened in 2012, because that was the turning point, or at least there was an event that triggered this for you to say that you needed to tell your story. Yes,
there was an event. It was at my pharmacy job, and we had gotten a new district manager. I worked for a large retail chain, and we had a district manager that kind of supervised a couple of states worth of pharmacies, so he wasn't at our location often. But he decided he was going to clean up his little district, and he started firing a bunch of people. He fired the other pharmacist, and he fired my pharmacy manager, the pharmacist, and he fired a technician. And then he called me into the office, and I thought he was going to fire me, but instead he just gave me like a year's probation, but he yelled at me, and he talked disrespectfully to me, and he told me things almost exactly the same wording that Bundy had used in the canyon, and that kind of sent me into PTSD and flashbacks and panic attacks and tears and like a whole big PTSD crisis.
When you did come out, and this is, and please don't misunderstand, I have no attack of you, okay?
Okay.
But you know, there are people that would say, why write a book about your experience? Do you profit, from the book at all? I say that because you could have gone on some, television shows and talked about it, like maybe going on, Oprah or something. I know she's not on mainstream, but she does have her own network now.
Mm-hmm. Well, the fact that I didn't tell for so long, people wonder about that and wonder if it's true or if I'm making it up, and why wouldn't I have come forward sooner? But really, that's more common than telling is. They think that like 80% of rapes and sexual assaults are never reported.
Higher than that, 9 out of 10 unreported, or 1 in 10 reported. Higher than that, around 90%.
Yeah, higher than that.
No. That it makes it obviously a bigger deal. Did when you first came out with this, and you went to a literary agent or a publisher, were there people that poo-pooed you and didn't believe your story? Are there people that have contacted you and don't believe it now?
There are. There was a publishing house that wanted to know if I had a police report, if there was any kind of verification that this had actually happened. And there wasn't, because I didn't go to the police, and there's no doctor's reports, or there's nothing like that. But if there had been, there wouldn't be a story, because it would already be old news from a long time ago, and I wouldn't have had PTSD because I would have handled those feelings correctly.
And are there people, and again, I want to apologize for the delicateness of the question, but are there any victims' family members who were angry with you for not coming forward? Even though I agree with you, it probably would not have made, a difference, most likely. But did anyone get angry and say, why didn't you say something, especially the 2 victims in Utah?
I have not had any contact with anybody from those families. Kind of soon, but I have not been contacted by anybody, and have not had hardly any negative response at all, except a few crazy people on Amazon.
Less than 1 minute here, and Rhonda, I want to give you the opportunity. What has this done? What has this done for you, and what do you hope it does for others? Quickly.
Writing the book was healing for me. Helped me to organize and understand what had happened in my mind. What I would like to do is, I would hope that other victims who are carrying secrets will be find courage from my story to start their own healing journey. I'd like to increase awareness about post-traumatic stress disorder. It's poorly understood, and there's a stigma about it, and I think that I'd like to have it be better understood so that
so that people know your ordeal, and others perhaps will come forward regardless of who their attacker was. Rhonda Stapley, author of the recent book, I Survived Ted Bundy, The Attack, Escape, and PTSD That Changed My Life. Thank you.